Yeah, we got a couple of Lantern related books. So first up, of course, is Green Lantern #1.
Probably the biggest release of the week.
Yeah, that's probably the big one this week. By Geoff Johns and Doug Mahnke, who had been the creative team on Green Lantern before the DC 52 relaunch. So this is another case, sort of like Batwoman, of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, in terms of the creative team. They have taken a different approach to the book, at least in this initial story arc. Obviously, the cover, if you know Green Lantern, it has Sinestro in a Green Lantern outfit. Hal Jordan does not appear on the cover. And, you know, he had been, of course, Green Lantern's arch nemesis, kind of the big bad guy, a fallen Green Lantern, who had become essentially a Yellow Lantern, basically, and kind of the leader of the bad guys. So now he has been given a chance to redeem himself, and I think this was probably all set up in the issues leading up to this #1, the previous Green Lantern issues. So Sinestro, the big bad guy, has been once again given a Green Lantern ring by the Guardians of the Universe, given the chance to redeem himself and be a Green Lantern again. So he kind of is establishing himself in that new role, sort of reluctantly, because it pits him against some of his former partners. It's that storyline is intercut with Hal Jordan on Earth. And Hal Jordan has lost his powers. He's no longer a Green Lantern. So he is just kind of trying to deal with everyday life, which is a bit of a mess for him. He can't pay his bills. His relationship with Carol Ferris is on the rocks, as it often is. And you just kind of see him bumbling through life a little bit. And that's kind of it for this first issue. It's really straightforward. I liked it. I had read Geoff Johns' run on Green Lantern before this. I hadn't been following it post Blackest Night, so like the last few months I kind of wasn't following it. I liked it. It kind of wasn't my thing, but I thought this was my chance to give it another shot. And what I liked about this approach, beyond the hook of putting Sinestro in the Green Lantern suit and, you know, depowering Hal Jordan, was I like that it was a more straightforward story than what Geoff Johns has been doing. Because a lot of his run, I felt like, was just packed with ideas and characters and high concepts. You know, he introduced the whole idea of the multicolored rings, so it's not just Green Lantern, you have Yellow Lanterns, Red Lanterns, as we'll talk about in a moment, Blue Lanterns, etc. Really big cosmic stories, big crossovers like Blackest Night, just a lot of big ideas and stuff going on. A lot of that stuff was really cool, but I feel like it sort of became all idea and no execution. Like, it's just, there almost wasn't room to breathe during a lot of that stuff, you know? There were just so many big ideas thrown at the readers so quickly, which a lot of people liked about it. But in this issue, like, it was refreshing to me to see Hal Jordan dealing with his civilian identity a little bit. And to just have a bit more of a slower paced story that could deal with the characters' reactions to what was going on, rather than introducing all of these crazy ideas, like, right away.
Yeah, it was almost necessary. It almost felt a little bit like an origin issue, just because it was, like, you know, Hal Jordan and dealing with it.
So it was definitely written, you know, with the #1 idea in mind. You know, it you can definitely jump into this if you haven't read Green Lantern before. So I like this one, and Doug Mahnke is an absolutely phenomenal artist. I mean, you know, we've been talking a lot of good art this week, but he's really good. You know, every time I look at his stuff, it's like, yeah, he's, you know, really detailed, clean artwork. Looks really great, drawing a lot of the different aliens and things that show up in Green Lantern books. So yeah, I like Green Lantern. Probably the most mainstream, kind of straightforward superhero book we read this week.
I'm a little confused about okay, they make it very clear that they haven't swept everything aside that has happened in Green Lantern.
Yeah, it seems like they more or less just continued on with Green Lantern.
like, yeah, all the stuff with, you know, the Yellow Lanterns and Red Lanterns and Star Sapphire and stuff like that has all happened. Since superheroes are relatively new to Earth, though, in this universe, like, I'm a little confused as to what happened with Blackest Night and stuff like that. I don't know if they're going to address that in issues to come.
Superheroes were new to this universe 5 years ago, which is when Justice League takes place.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah, that's right. So this is maybe this happened?
This is in, like, the present day.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, you do wonder a little bit, like, how this is gonna... I mean, I think it makes sense to me, but you do wonder a little bit, like, how does this connect to Justice League and the Green Lantern we see there? And yeah, I mean, that's always the problem with these relaunches, is that, you know, what counts? You know, what happened before, what didn't happen, what is still in play, what is no longer in play.
But it seems pretty much Green Lantern, like what has come before, has happened.
That's how it seemed to me. Yeah.
I was a fan of more of the, like, you know, the space cosmic type of stuff that was happening, a lot of the ideas happening. The Hal Jordan stuff always kind of bored me. I felt like he's kind of a boring character.
Yeah, he's kind of a dull character.
So I feel like Geoff Johns is strongest when he has Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern suit doing these galactic storylines with a lot of things coming at you and cool ideas.
Yep.
So I was a little bored by this issue. If you're not going to pick up the next issue, I probably wouldn't. But probably just because I have been such a fan of what Geoff Johns had done previously, I would expect good things to come eventually out of this, but this just isn't really doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an amazing comic book. I do think he will very quickly get back to that kind of thing. Yeah, I think this was very much a first issue, and it was written to be a first issue and written to be people's first introduction to the characters and stuff. So it's a little bit more slower paced, much more simple story than what we're used to seeing from Geoff Johns, which I guess might be a disappointment to a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, I kind of assume it's very quickly going to turn into the kinds of stories that Geoff Johns.
You see glimpses of that stuff, like Sinestro looking at his Yellow Lanterns that he created. You know, like obviously something's going to happen there where there's going to be some kind of a battle with the Yellow Lanterns.
Oh yeah, so we're going to be in space, cosmic battles, and
I just hope this isn't drawn out. Like I don't know if like Hal Jordan is just too boring to me. Like I just don't want to see him like. I don't know. Yeah. I don't even like his relationship with Miss Ferris.
I mean, that's why I kind of like that they had Sinestro on the cover.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's a little bit more interesting than Hal Jordan.
So. Yeah, they need to do something with Hal Jordan. They should have like took the opportunity to really like.
Well, they did. It's like, but then they can never replace Hal Jordan again until the generation of fans who demanded he be brought back after the Brett and Kyle Rayner die, because that was just like this years-long debacle. But anyway, we're getting way deep into continuity.
Yeah.
Green Lantern #1 itself, I thought was a solid first issue.
It was okay. I wouldn't go to my way to pick up the next issue, but I'll be interested to see
that's
where Geoff
fair.
goes at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I see where you're coming from, and it's not like I'm going to run out and tell people, oh my gosh, you must read Green Lantern #1, but I thought it was solid. And for me, I like that it gave me another in to Geoff Johns' Green Lantern work, which I'd like to give another shot. So,
all right.
Well, sticking with the lanterns.
Next tip, another lantern. This one is the Red Lanterns from Peter Milligan and Ed
Benes.
Ed Benes.
Said his name.
Okay, Ed Benes sounds good. And this one is just obviously this is showing more that they kind of kept the continuity from before. Has the Red Lanterns led by this big hulking guy.
Atrocitus, I think.
Atrocitus, something like that, yeah. But it begins with the cat, who is my favorite Red Lantern.
Yep. And the Red Lanterns are rage.
Yep.
I mean, we have to say, the idea of the multicolored lanterns is a fantastic idea.
It is.
That Geoff Johns introduced. So, you know, for years it was just Green Lantern, but then he introduced the idea that there are all these different colored lanterns
that represent different emotions.
So green is pure willpower, and red is rage.
Yeah.
So these guys are typically played as the heavies.
Yeah, pretty much like. I mean, in the past, I've kind of thought of these guys as like pretty much as animals. They just come in and you know, kick and
tear people
apart. Yep. I mean, they like vomit blood all over the
Yeah.
place. Kind of weird. So this is kind of an odd title, I think, of all the lanterns to pick. The Red Lanterns.
I thought that too.
But they do something interesting with the main villain. He's having kind of like an issue with his rage a little bit.
Yeah, he's calming down.
Yeah, he's calming down. He's coming down from that high of the rage. So I don't know. He's kind of like wondering about his place with the Red Lanterns. Like, since he's traditionally been the leader, if they even need a leader at this point, because they seem to be doing fine with the rage on themselves. And since he is calming down, where is he? What's his role? That kind of a thing. A little bit of a lost identity with this one. I do like the designs of the Red Lantern. I like the designs of like a lot of the lanterns that were introduced in Geoff Johns runs. The yellow lanterns that we saw the glimpse of were really cool.
Yeah.
Like the one skeleton guy that's just like an ectoplasm. I don't even know, but they just look really cool. But yeah, the cat is awesome. I like the girl that's in this, the main guy. But I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's pretty much just him having like a case of like, where do I belong? Just kind of like identity crisis. Straightforward, nothing too special about it either, I don't feel like. I don't know. It's another one of those ones like a Green Lantern that I felt like was just a little dull. The character's more interesting than Hal Jordan, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can't quite make up my minds about Red Lanterns. You're right that the idea of giving a book to the Red Lanterns is an odd choice for an ongoing book. That's what made it interesting to me. Like, okay, what is their idea here? How are they going to be able to pull this off? Are they going to be able to pull this off month to month? I'm not really convinced one way or the other after having read this. Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it's kind of stupid.
It's kind of like not much that really happened either.
No.
So
the art was okay.
Yeah.
Atrocitus...
The scene with the cat was the best.
Yeah, Atrocitus kind of, frets over his place and purpose in the universe and ultimately decides that he will wreak vengeance on the universe's behalf on those deserving of having vengeance visited upon them. Making him kind of like a Spectre type character, I would think, right? Kind of a spirit of vengeance. Meanwhile, he has a lot of anxiety about his relationship with the other Red Lanterns who, could turn on him at any moment. It's kind of a volatile group. We also get a flashback to these two people on Earth, these two brothers. One kind of a tough, kind of hothead, the other one kind of a nerdy, more passive, intellectual character. You can tell that because the tough character has a scruff on his face, he's unshaven, and the nerdy character wears glasses and carries around books. So yeah, it's I don't know what to say about Red Lanterns #1. Do you think you will keep following it going forward?
No, it's just kind of there. You know what I mean? It's just like, it didn't stand out at all. Like,
yeah, it wasn't.
I kind of forgot it as soon as I put it down.
It wasn't a great book. For me, the draw with Red Lantern really is kind of a curiosity as far as, are they going to be able to make this into a regular series? Kind of like how I sometimes feel about the Hulk. He's such a basic character, a cool character, but it's such a basic concept that you always wonder, God, how do they keep this going as like a regular series? But they always do.
Yeah, and you haven't read Greg Pak.
Yeah, well, Greg Pak and Peter David and so many people have done wonderful things with the Hulk, and dumb things with the Hulk. But it's always kind of, you can see the writers kind of doing gymnastics to kind of see how they're going to keep that character in that series going. So I guess I was sort of curious to see how they're going to pull that off with the Red Lanterns. I don't know that I'm curious enough to keep following it, and I'm certainly not convinced that they've come up with a great idea based on this first issue, Yeah, I mean, the idea of giving the Red Lanterns these kind of freakish monsters their own book is, sort of interesting, but the book itself ultimately isn't really that interesting. So I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about Red Lanterns. I guess that, maybe decide for yourself. Check it out, see what you think. Right?
Yes.
I don't know. I want to give it a solid thumbs down.
Yeah, I mean, of all the other books that you can choose to pick up, there are plenty of other titles you'd want to pick up before I think you pick up this one.
Probably the weakest.
But if you're picking up this one anyways, I think you're gonna be I think you're a fan of the Green Lantern.
Well, if you're a fan of the Green Lantern stuff that Geoff Johns has been doing, maybe check it out, see what you think. I'll be curious to kind of see what the book looks like 6 issues in, but I may just be flipping through a copy at the store at that point rather than having been purchasing it myself.